I gotta
hooked up on this really nice fish right now.
He's coming. I got this big old rainbow. Throwing the Euro indicator, so tight line to a Euro indicator. Very effective system here. And I just made a change to a 20-incher stone here. About third cast in this hole. Hooked into this nice fish. Starting to get tired. Don't go down there. Dude, I thought I was gonna lose him because he's on a stump down here.
Here she comes.
She's in the soft water, that's good.
Yeah.
Ah, let's go, dude.
Stud of a fish.
There we go.
Keep him in the water.
He came out, dude, as soon as he gets in the net. Popped off.
There he is, nice little stud.
This 20-incher stone here.
Here, you want to give him a measurement on him? Yeah.
Just caught this stud of a rainbow here. Wintertime, Yakima River bow. See if we can get a quick measurement on him, and then I'll hold him up for the camera.
$18 inches.
Yeah, 18. Just get a release on this big girl here. Okay, just caught a big fish. I thought I'd go through and explain my rig here. So this is called a tight line to the indicator. So it's just your standard Euro setup. You got 8-pound mono to your sighter here, and then your tippet to your flies here. For my flies, I got this little wire worm and a 20-incher stone because the water just came up. So just trying to get down to the bottom, a little off colored. But what is unique about this is you add a little indicator on here, a little New Zealand yarn indicator. So you're able to get the same advantage of the technical stealthy fishing of Euro nymphing, but you're also to get more distance and be able to float these up off the bottom a little more with this yarn indicator. You can use like the thingamabobber, but I like the yarn because it's a lot more sensitive. And in the case of that last fish, if I would have had a thingamabobber or an airlock, probably wouldn't have seen that bite because it was a very subtle upstream take, and this yarn indicator just went upstream. So it's a very effective rig that I've learned recently, and you can you're able to just get more distance. And sometimes the fish don't always want the flies right on the bottom, so sometimes to have them floated a little bit up off the bottom can make all the difference. Another tactical advantage of this rig is you've got super light tippet, so you don't need heavy flies or split shot to get your flies down to where the fish are. I've got 5X here with 2 relatively light flies. I got a wire worm that doesn't got any weight, and this 20-incher has a little cone head on it, but you still don't need heavy flies. The other day when I first learned how to use this, I was just throwing a little midge and caught my personal best Yakima River rainbow. Well, might have been a take right there. Hard to tell. So you're just coming tight to your indicator there. You can see it kind of stands up right there. You can just let it. And you'd be surprised on how heavy a flies you're able to run on this. When we first started throwing this rig the other day, I was throwing a pretty heavily weighted patch stone, and it was floating it just fine with a tiny bit of yarn. Might need to redress this fly or this indicator because it's sinking a little bit. This does help. You can do this on a normal standard, 9-foot. I like the light rods, like a 9-foot 3/8 could work, but the 10-foot, I got this Orvis Helios here, 10-foot 6-inch 3/8. This rod is great for this because you can really extend out and get a lot of distance on this. I'm gonna go ahead and redress this indicator here. So to redress these indicators, ideally you need a comb. I forgot mine in the car, but you take a comb, you can kind of fluff it up. You can do the same thing with your fingers, it's a little easier with a comb. Then you take a little bit. Don't put shake on here. Putting shake on it will make dirt and stuff stick to it. So just fluff it up, blow on it a couple times just to get it dry. Put a little dab. This thing should float pretty for a long time, but in my case, if you catch a big fish and it's underwater for a while, it can drown it. But you just need a little bit of floating just like that. Just rub it in. And you're good to go. All right, we're back in the same hole here. Let's see if we can't maybe pull one more out of here. This is one of my favorite holes on this stretch of river. It almost always produces fish. Might need to downsize my fly size here. It's kind of sunk a little bit. Oh, come on. We're stuck here on the tip. All right. So you'll be able to see on this next cast, the current on top of the water is a little bit slower than the stuff underneath. So you see your indicator start dragging, so you can kind of speed it up a little bit and just place it right back down. I think this rig is very advantageous to for winter, especially because you can really slow down your drifts and get them right into the right lane, which, as you know, as you winter fishers know, can be very important and make or break one of your fishing drifts and if you catch a fish or not. All right, I had no more luck on that in that hole, so I'm switching up to, I got the 20-incher still on here, and then I'm going to go to a little midge, like a little zebra midge here on my tag fly. We didn't catch anything in the last hole, so we're heading downstream a little bit to another little good bucket. Just pulling out for the new hole. It's this little bucket here. It's usually a pretty decent fish producer. Still throwing the tight line to an indicator here, but we got this faster riffly stuff buttoned up against this log. Then it kind of gets deeper in here underneath these overhanging trees, and if you can fish it right in this bucket right in there, usually produce a fish. You got the tail end too, which is pretty good. It can be hit and miss in the winter. That was a good drift there. The water being up a little bit, this hole's a little bit faster than I'd like, but who's to say there's not fish in here? very well could be. Just gotta get it in front of the right fish. Well, I didn't have anything back at the bottom hole. Had a couple hits. Caden had one swinging, a streamer through. We're back at the first hole that we fished. We got to go pretty soon, so we're just finishing up this hole. But it's a pretty good day. I only landed one fish, but it was a nice one. We had other hits down at the other hole, but try to pick up one last fish here on the swing. Switched up to this little CDC jig head Prince Nymph. Had a few hits on it, but I haven't landed anything yet. But it's about time for us to go. It's starting to rain, so that's going to be it for the fishing. When I get back home, I'll do a tying segment on how to tie that 20-incher stone, that 20-incher that I caught that big fish on. The 20-incher stone can be a great winter pattern, especially here on the Yakima. Not going to disclose this exact location, but you locals might know where I'm fishing. We're going to be tying 20-incher stonefly pattern here. Very effective. Gets down deep. This is a very bit of a variation of the original, but this is what I caught that big one on that you guys saw earlier. Pretty simple, pretty effective. It's a great winter stone, or winter and spring. In the spring it mimics the squall of stoneflies very well. But I got a size 12 curved nymph hook in here, 3.8 millimeter copper bead. So we'll start off just by laying a little head behind the bead there to lock that in place, just like so. All right, this fly calls for lead wraps, just lead wire, but I don't have lead, just ran out, so just build up a bit of a taper with this thread. That's why I'm using thicker thread to help build this up a little bit. Wrap it up 3 or 4 times there. All right. Next, we're going to be putting in some goose spots for the tail here. This is golden brown. You can use, I like dark brown, but golden brown seems to be doing good right now. Kind of adds a little bit of a contrast to the fly. Peel one of those off. You can see how it kind of curves one way, so you want that to be splaying out away from the hook. So just secure it in here on the side of the hook shank. Just like so. Wrap back to about the bend of the hook and repeat the process for the other side. Same thing. Keep those butt ends on there to help build up the body a little bit. And you can kind of come in here and fix them up a little bit. There we go, got 2 nice tails on there. Now we will take some crystal flash here, just pull off a strand here, snip it off, or just pull it off works too. Tie that in. Then grab some peacock curl here. I like to strip off about 2 to 3 strands. 3 seems to build up a good body for these bigger flies, so I'll usually find 3 good long strands, pull those off, line them up here. And then trim off the tails, repeating the same steps, tie that back. As you can see, over the tying those 3 different materials in, it builds up a nice body there. And then just wrap forward. Take your strands of peacock herl here and wrap those forward about 3/4 of the way. Try not to lose them here. Build it up a little thicker here towards the head to get that nice tapered look. And then these ones are a little short, so it's kind of hard to tie them in here, but then you can secure those down. Pull those out, snip them. Then take your Flashaboo and counter wrap those. Evenly space them out. Tie that off. And then snip it off. Next, we're going to take a strand of just some rubber legs here. We're going to double them over. And then tie them in. Actually, first we need to build up a thorax here. So take 2 strands of crystal flash, or just double one over. You don't need that much. Take one, double it over here. Tie that in. Next, we are going to take some turkey tail feather here. Pull off a good strand. You want a pretty big strand because when you tie them in, they kind of tend to fold over. So you need to make sure you get a big enough strand that it goes over the top of that thorax. Tie that in. All right, now we can add our legs. Double those over. Tie them in. Snip the end here. And then you can manipulate them over to where you want them. Next, we're going to be taking some muskrat dubbing. Gray pine squirrel would work, just something that has a lot of guard hairs that will kind of splay out and give it a more buggy look. Just do a nice dubbing noodle on here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then wrap over everything there, building up a nice thorax here. Then pull over that, add more dubbing here. All right, then you can pull over that turkey there. Try if you can to keep them spread out as far as you can on that dubbing. They tend to kind of ball up in one spot. Just try to keep them flat. Trim that. Then what I like to do is just kind of take my fingernail in there and just try to spread them out a little bit. Then we'll take our 2 strands of crystal flash there, wrap that right over top of that thorax there. Make sure they're kind of on either side of the thorax so they're not all in one spot. Just like that. Then we can try to fold back these rubber legs there, make a few wraps there at the head. And we can whip finish or half hitch, whatever you like. This one kind of gets tricky because there's a whole bunch of stuff in the way. It's actually easier if you just kind of trim it up beforehand. Give these legs a little trim too. There we go. That'll be a little easier now to I got my leg trapped in there. All right, now we can whip finish and finish off the head of this fly. Snip that off. Add a bit of super glue on here. And then trim the legs to your liking. You can leave them as long or as short as you'd like. That's pretty good for me there. There you have it. Quick and easy tie, 20-incher. Not the prettiest looking fly, but it sure catches fish.